ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Welcome on to our sessions. These sessions are meant to be a continuation of the maktab that we had started for as a result of the situation we find ourselves in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic. While our kids are at home, while we have the ability to engage with them, especially in this month Ramadan, where if they were to find themselves in environments and in circles where they can learn knowledge, where they can connect to Allah, then it will definitely be of a benefit to them, inshallah. So that's what these sessions are about. They are teaching that drive and that zeal for children to gain knowledge of Islam, and that if they will attain that throughout their lives, then they will become the best individuals that they can be, learning as they go along, becoming better and better with every single part. So the sessions we started throughout the quarantine period before the month of Ramadan began, they would have consisted of three parts. The first would have been the session on learning the Qaeda and the letters, Arabic language itself. And we will had done some of the recitation of the last surahs of the Quran, and following that we would have had a final session of our Islamic studies. All three of these sessions will be repeated and continued, inshallah. And these sessions will generally take place between 12 and 12:45, just a 45-minute session. In terms of the attention span of the children at home, so we will be looking at that sort of time period as the best optimal solution, inshallah. So let's get into our session for today. We're first of all beginning off just by mentioning that we are in the month of Ramadan. Before these sessions had taken a small pause last week, we mentioned the fact that Ramadan is a month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed as one of the best months, as a very miraculous month, and as an opportunity for all of us, both males, females, those who are older, those who are younger, an opportunity to become close to Allah and to connect with our deen, to connect with our belief, to seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best that we can, and to seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that knowledge about Islam, that connection with Him, to seek His obedience, stay away from His prohibitions, and to remind us of our purpose in our lives. We live our lives, and throughout our lives, we have school, we have work, we have hobbies, within all of that as well, we are going to have our connection with Allah, responsibilities to Him, and the reality that we are going to return to Allah. And we want to return to Allah in a way that is pleasing to Him and that He is pleased with us, inshallah. So, Ramadan is that month of we can gain that connection with Allah and that closeness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ramadan is also the month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the and the Quran itself is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is has been revealed to us as a means of guidance, as a means of our as a means of us remembering our place in this and our purpose in it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in language that Allah has made very, very easy for us to learn. That being said, while Allah has made it easy for us to learn, it requires a little bit of an effort on our part to actually learn it. Nothing that we want to learn can come about without us having to put some effort into it and reward of that effort. So, to recap what we have covered in these sessions before, we have looked at first of all the Arabic alphabet and the letters of the Arabic alphabet, And we know that 29 letters in the Arabic alphabet start from Alif finishing in Ya. And we had gone through different forms of the letters of Arabic alphabet. We mentioned that the difference in any of the letters is the dots that they have them, the number of dots and their position, whether they are above or below the letter. This is something that we use as a distinguishing factor between letters. Then we will have done some practice in recognizing the letter forms and trying to understand the difference between those letters. And following that, we looked at the fact that just as in English, when we want to write a word or a sentence, the letters in that sentence of those words in that sentence when you are doing the word. And that's a matter of writing and the connections that letters have. So that in Arabic, when letters form, they undergo certain methods of joining between the letters themselves of the word. And we notice when we are talking about this that letters can take forms based on the letter from the beginning of the word, in the middle of the word, or the end of the word. It can look a little bit different. However, we did say that these form letters doesn't change too much. And also, one thing does not change at all is that has their number and its position. If you remember that we are actually, looking to recognize letters in words, then we are going to have it's a bit easier than if you try to look all of the letters, all of the forms of that. All right. And following that, a very interesting way of remembering the letters and recognizing the letters when we group the letters with themselves into families. We said that there are letters that join very, very similarly. And so, for example, we mentioned the fact that there is the both family, right? The both family are the letters Ba, Ta, Sa, Noon, and Ya. So, if we look very closely at the forms of these letters, we notice that base form is the same for this whole family. Because when we think about families do look very similar. And in this situation, the forms of letters are the same. What's going to differ is number of dots and their position. Ba has one dot below the letter, right? And just like that, when Ba joins, it will join with one dot below the letter. And so when we recognize those dots and the number of dots that each letter has, then no matter its point form, we are going to be able to identify the letter by its number of dots and its position. All right. So this requires to know base forms of the letters, the base forms that the family of letters takes. But as long as we know that, then we are going to be able to identify all of that. Okay. So we talked about the non-joint family. The non-joint family, the family of letters doesn't like to join. And so those would have been Aleph, Dal, Dal, Ro, Za, and Wow. These letters don't like to come in the beginning of the word. So you can try to find on their own. If you look so carefully, we notice that the letter on its own or at the ending form look very, very similar. So if we look at the letters themselves and we had C in its ending form, then we are going to be able to recognize the letter just by its look. Okay, all right. And for this, we had talked about some more families of letters, and we had grouped the rest of the letters. We talked about the fact that the letters Jim, Ha, Kha, Ain, and Goin, they have a tail that looks like a C, right? You see a C in the actual when it joins the beginning of a word, that are associated with the letter are going to be C, right? Then we mentioned the fact that there's a family that looks like the eye of a needle. You know, if you saw what a sewing needle looks like and you look through the small little hole where you put the thread in, it looks like the eye of a needle. And so these four letters, Tor, Dor, Sword, and Dord, they look like the eye of the needle. And Tor and Dor have an antenna, right? The standing pole. Sword and Dord, they have a tail. And using those ways of recognizing the letters helps us learn the letters a little quicker. Remember them better in the future. And we talk about this three stroke, Seen and Sheen family. Right? These have three strokes within them. And Fa and Qaf, the loop letters, the letters that have a loop. So we have Fa, loop, and dot, and Qaf, a loop, and two. And lastly, we have the Kaf, Lam, Mim, Ha, and Hamza, which are the remaining letters. But the letters are pretty straightforward in their actual joining. Group them as a very last family. Lastly, what we had looked at was the grouping of the letters based on their commonly taken alternatives. We started talking about the fact that Aleph and Lam are very, very similar. And in particular, we looked at the ending of Lam here being very similar to, or rather, the ending of Aleph here being very similar to the beginning of Lam. And we saw that this was the form that is commonly mistaken among students. And what we needed to remember is the fact that Lam on the end looks like Lam. However, Aleph doesn't look the same way. All right. And so that was for us to remember those differences. And lastly, to end for today's recap of where we had reached, we talked about the fact that there are a number of letters that are commonly mistaken, and those would have been Ba and Noon, right? Because of the very similar form of the letter in the beginning. All right. What we need to remember then is that the position of the dot is going to tell us what the letter is. You mentioned that Noon and Fa are also commonly mistaken, right? Because Fa is a loop letter, but Noon is one of the letters of the boat family. So there's a stroke rather than a loop. And then we talk about the fact that Fa and Goin are commonly mistaken as well, because Fa looks like a loop, but Goin looks like either a gem shape or a mushroom shape. And we needed to remember that difference. And finally, the letter Dal, Za, they also resemble Noon in some circumstances. And we needed to remember the differences when we were looking at those letters. So that was our recap of the actual qaida that we have been doing. And we We needed to remember that difference and also to recap what we have done. Because inshallah, what we're going to do is continue from this point with the question. Okay, let's move on to our Quran session, inshallah. Now, we had started from Surah Nas in our actual sessions, which is the very last surah of the Quran. We started from Nas, then we have done all of the surahs before them, straight up to the last 10 surahs. And now, today, inshallah, what we want to look at is, right? And our aim with regards to these repetition sessions is that we practice the recitation of the Quran. Those students who have learned these surahs already will have the opportunity to revise them and ensure that their recitation of these surahs is correct. And then those students who are still to learn these surahs will have the recitation practice and they will gain that benefit of being able to practice the recitation of the Quran, inshallah. All right. So when we start the surah, we mentioned and we reiterate that we always begin with the ta'awudh and the tasmiyah. The ta'awudh is a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and the tasmiyah bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Okay? We always remember to start with that when we are reciting the Quran. So our method of reciting is going to be that we are going to begin. I'm going to recite the verse broken up in small parts. We will ensure that we practice that verse until we are satisfied we have read it correctly. Then we will read the entire verse once and then we will move on, inshallah. Tomorrow, before we move on to surah, what we will do is we will revise this surah before we continue, inshallah. Alright, so let's get started. Reciting after me, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويل لكل ويل لكل همزة لمزة. همزة لمزة. Beginning again. ويل لكل همزة لمزة. ويل لكل همزة لمزة. Okay, good. So there aren't anything that we really want to point out with this, so just continue to the next. الذي جمع الذي جمع مالا وعدده. مالا وعدده. Again from top. الذي جمع مالا وعدده. Whole thing now. الذي جمع مالا وعدده. Okay, good. So in this verse, some of the things I want to point out is the fact that we have الذي, a long, okay, it's a long sound, الذي, and ما لو عدد. This is an ain, if you remember in our past sessions. The letter ain requires that I put some emphasis behind the letter. It's not just a sound, rather there is a force to reciting the letter. Jama'a, jama'a, ma law wa adda. Okay. And finally, we notice back here we end with da, right? It's not the airy ha, it's ha here. So it's not da, rather it's da, da, wa adda. Okay. Inshallah, with the next يحسب أن يحسب أن ماله أخلد. ماله أخلد. أحسب أن ماله أخلد. What time the whole thing? يحسب أن ماله أخلد. So in this verse, we have our first of the surah. Remember that this is a very breathy sound, as though you are breathing out to your hand. Your hands are cold, right? So yahsabu malahu malahu. Long sound here, okay? Malahu akhlada akhlada. This is before it. Okay. Continue, inshallah. كلا لا ينبذن. كلا لينبذن في الحطمة. time. كلا لينبذن في الحطمة. The whole verse. كلا لينبذن في الحطمة. Okay, good. Move on to the next verse, inshallah. وما أدراك وما أدراك ما الحطمة. وما أدراك ما الحطمة. وما أدراك ما الحطمة. So in this verse and in the previous verse, I'll have this ending here. Who for ma. Right? Who for ma. And what we what's very important for us to point out here is the fact that we have who, ha, and then to. And that this to is a round sound, it's not flat as ha is. So we are going to remember when we are pronouncing the word hutama to pronounce the to as a round sound. Okay. Alright. So let's stop there. We are going to recite the words that we read today once, and then we'll bring an end to the session, inshallah. So from the beginning, after me. ويل لكل همزة لمزة. الذي جمع مالا وعدده. يحسب أن ماله أخلده. كلا لينبذن في الحطمة. وما أدراك ما الحطمة. Okay, very good. And the first half of Surah Maza, being one of the longest surahs that we had done thus far, we will pause there for today with regards to this surah, and we will complete it tomorrow, inshallah. All right. So let's continue now, inshallah. With questions of- To recap, we talk about the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Ramadan is the ninth month of lunar calendar, right? Coming after Shaban and before. So the month of Ramadan is the ninth month of Islamic calendar. And it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the best of all. He made the Quran the best of all books. Allah made the month of Ramadan the best of all books. And this is one of the reasons why we make full use of the month of Ramadan. That we don't desire that we waste any single moment of Ramadan. There are many narrations that talk about the blessings of this month. That Allah has increased the reward of our action in this month. If a person performs a nafil act, they gain the reward of far that. It's like saying that if I just perform 2 rakats of salah at some point in the day, then I don't get the reward as if I perform Fajr salah, Dhuhr salah. If a person performs a fard act, he will gain many more times the reward of that actual salah. So Allah has made the month of Ramadan a month which is very blessed, right? A month that is very, very important to us. And so even though we find ourselves in a different time, we find ourselves in a time of quarantine, a time where we aren't able to do all that we would normally do in the month of Ramadan. Month is a month for us to utilize very, very productively and connect with Allah and make use of the time that He has blessed with. And one of the things that we always remember is the fact that Allah has blessed us with the time that we have, and we do not want to waste that time before we return to Allah. We are unable to tell Allah how we utilize our time effectively. And this is the fact that even though Allah has, tested us this year, that we aren't able to have our Ramadan the normal way that we have Ramadan. We aren't able to go to masjid normally. We aren't able to perform the Tarawih Salah normally. There are many things that we can't do normally. Know very well that Allah will recognize our efforts in this month, and Allah will use how we would normally do, bless us even more for our sacrifice that we made. And in the month of Ramadan itself, we recollect the fact that Allah has mentioned fasting in Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah is called in the Arabic language. It's the second surah in the Quran, right? So Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen is the first, and following Surah Baqarah. Now, Surah Al-Baqarah is the second surah of the Quran. And in this surah, Allah has mentioned about fasting. Allah mentioned that fasting has been prescribed for you so that you maintain taqwa. So very interesting that Allah mentions He's an ordained, He commanded fasting. You think about the fact that when we are sick and go to the doctor was given a prescription. And we take that prescription, we go to the pharmacy, we get medicine, right? Now, what is this medicine of fasting? What is this benefit? The benefit Allah is mentioning is first, we take fasting, when we apply fasting, it's taqwa. That's the benefit that we get. And taqwa that we have is a very, very, very important topic that we had mentioned a little bit about before. That the fact that fasting itself, we think about the nature of fasting. When we are fasting, we are hungry, we are thirsty, we will do everything that we want to do. For those bad habits that we may have had in out of the month of Ramadan, we can no longer do in the month of Ramadan while we're fasting. What our actions, need to what our behavior. Right? Now we're doing all of this because we recognize Allah is watching us. Allah is aware of us. We that we are feeling hunger and we are feeling thirst. So that feeling helps us to remember Allah is one who is aware of what we're doing. And this is a very important matter to reflect on, is that whether we are fasting or not, Allah is aware of what we are doing. Right? We are the ones who, as human beings, forget. We are the ones who, as human beings, we and we make mistakes, we forget, and we, forget and we mess up sometimes. And Allah is granting us this month from Allah is granting us in this month so that we can help remember and build habit of remembering that Allah is always aware of us, Allah is aware of our actions, and that we too, knowing that, should be aware of our actions and should adjust accordingly. So that's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this so that we can attain taqwa. Now, there are lots of definitions of taqwa. There are lots of ways to define it. Essentially, one of the best ways, I think, for those of you at home, those who are listening, the children, the youth, is that if you're writing a test in school, then your teacher is generally right in front of you. So if your teacher was right in front of you, if your teacher stand over you, look, and you behave very differently, you will write that test, doing your best, looking your students, doing your work. You don't want to take any distractions. You don't want to, interrupt anyone. You want anyone interrupting you. You're going to carry about yourself a different way. And if your teacher walks in the classroom, all will break loose. Everyone will do what they want to do. People will start to copy, make noise, get up. And all the time, then you are going to make sure that what you do is the right thing and that you are caring about yourself in the best way possible. And so taqwa, which has the definitions of piety, God consciousness, fearing Allah, being conscious of Allah, being aware of Allah, remembering Allah, all of these are one definition to describe this one quality. That Allah has granted us the month of Ramadan as an opportunity to gain the taqwa. It's one of the things that many people talk about, the fact that the month of Ramadan grants us the opportunity, to feel as though poor people feel. Those who are hungry, those who don't have food to eat, those people who either living simple or non-Muslim, right? They will fast, will not be able to fast, they have anything to make their fast. Our remembering of that is meant to remind us that Allah is the one who grants us all that we have. Allah is the one who grants us the meals we have, the home that we have, the family that we have, the comfort. And that's what's important for us to remember, the fact that Allah has granted us this month of Ramadan. That means to gain the aspect of taqwa, right? That we are remembering Him all the time. And there are many ways that we train ourselves that taqwa. Some of the things we talk about in the past sessions has been the fact that we utilize the du'as that Allah has given us. Right? Those du'as that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Those du'as that he has mentioned in the Quran throughout the whole day. When you wake up, there's a dua. Before you sleep, there's a dua. Before you eat, there's a dua. After you eat, there's a dua. Say thank you. You say Jazakallahu khairan. To say you intend to do something, inshallah. Before you start something, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You apply all of these, and throughout your day, you are going to remember Allah more. And the more you remember Allah, the more Allah bless you, and the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you from His favors. And we utilize this month of Ramadan to help us do those things. Our efforts in standing up for Taraweeh, even if we're doing it at home with our family members, it might be different than normal. It might be a little bit shorter, but it's still a remember Allah. When we are performing salah, we should remember that Allah has given me this salah as an opportunity to call to Him, to ask Him for what I want. Allah has given me the ability to make ask what I want. Allah is full of wisdom, full of knowledge, full of advice, benefit from. Allah has given us the month of fasting as a means to train ourselves, right? That we utilize our time. Not only that we do have the relationship with Allah, we are able to take care of ourselves, but helps us to remember Allah more and more abundantly. And when we remember Allah more abundantly, remember the fact that when you remember Allah, Allah will remember you. And let's just explain why. If you say Subhanallah, I am saying Allah is free from faults. Allah is perfect. Subhanallah, Allah is very, very perfect. Allah is free from faults. All majesty is to Allah. Now, when you remember Allah, like Allah in the heavens is going to announce to the angels that my servant Abdullah, my servant Amina, my servant Bilal, my servant whoever has and I have remembered my servant in his remembrance of you, in her remembrance of you. And Allah announces that all the angels and the angels and send the right, they pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the servants. So you, those who on the earth treat the animals, the people, you also love this person. So that's why sometimes when we meet someone, we find ourselves full of love for that person, all right? And the people remember Allah very, very frequently, very abundantly. We find them to be very nice people to be around so many times. We find them to be people who we are calm with, that everyone loves, that everyone enjoys their company. Part of this is that blessing that Allah gives to the person who remembers Him always. So let's make the full intention. All right, we are just a couple days into the month of Ramadan. Let's work as best as we can in this month to try to remember Allah as frequently as we can, to try to remember Allah throughout the whole day, and that we work towards gaining that level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembers us because we are remembering Him. All right, let's make a goal of the month of Ramadan. In addition to Salah, in addition to the Quran, those goals that we might also have, let's have that in our minds, inshallah. And let's utilize these sessions, the best way that we can to gain knowledge that will benefit us. Inshallah, we will work on sharing a lot of the resources that we have with you all as well, so that you can be engaged, so you can learn more about Allah, learn more about your deen of Islam, learn more about our beliefs, and work towards attaining taqwa, which Allah has created the month of Ramadan for us to attain. All right, let's go bring it to an end for our session today, inshallah. We will complete today and 45 now. Sessions, inshallah, will take about 45 minutes and then we'll end. Um, please, sure for those friends who are at home, please follow us on, Facebook to get our updates, and we also have YouTube. Inshallah, the next session today will be with Imam Sharad, character building from the Hadith. That's going to be after the Asr Salah. So please do tune in. Make sure that you try to include your children as well in the performance of the Tarawih Salah, the performance of the Fard Salah. Build good habits as a family while we have the opportunity, while everyone is home together. Get them involved, inshallah, with preparing for iftar, for performing dua, remembering Allah before breaking the fast, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa taala blesses us. Allah has mercy upon us, and Allah makes it easy for everyone. دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته